Washington. Jerome H. Powell, nominated by President Trump to lead the Federal Reserve, presented himself as a pragmatic moderate who would largely continue the Fed's current policies at a confirmation hearing before the Senate Banking Committee on Tuesday. Mr. Powell, a Fed governor since 2012, defended the Fed's approach to financial regulation. He told Democrats that he saw no need for stronger rules, and he told Republicans that he did not favor rolling back the existing ones, though he did endorse easing the burden on smaller banks. Mr. Powell also pledged to continue the Fed's current approach to monetary policy, by gradually raising interest rates so long as economic growth remains healthy. He stopped just short of confirming that the Fed intends to raise its benchmark interest rate in December, a move that is widely expected by financial investors. "I think that the case for raising interest rates at our next meeting is coming together," he said. Mr. Powell, 64, is a lawyer by training and an investment banker by trade, with deep roots in the financial industry and the Republican Party. Since joining the Fed, he has voted in favor of every policy decision, both monetary policy and regulatory policy, under the current Fed chairwoman, Janet L. Yellen, and her predecessor, Ben S. Bernanke. President Trump nominated Mr. Powell in early November to succeed Ms. Yellen, whose four-year term as Fed chairwoman ends in early February. The position is subject to Senate confirmation. Mr. Trump said he was replacing Ms. Yellen because he wanted to appoint his own chairman. Mr. Powell in his opening statement pledged to resist any political pressure. He added that he had no reason to anticipate such pressure from the White House. "Nothing in my conversations with anyone in the administration has given me any concern on that front," he said. His plan, he said, is to make policy decisions with a view solely to right answers. The confirmation hearing was a relatively placid affair, with only a third of the seats in the hearing room occupied. Both Mr. Bernanke in 2010 and Ms. Yellen in 2014 were confirmed during periods of economic turmoil and sharp controversy about the conduct of monetary and regulatory policy. As economic growth has strengthened, public interest in those subjects has dissipated. Mr. Powell spent much of the hearing avoiding questions about fiscal policy, including tax legislation that currently commands most of the attention on Capitol Hill. Asked whether Congress should pursue tax cuts that would increase the federal debt, he said that such questions should be left to Congress. He said the Fed had no position on the legislation. "Do you have a personal position?" asked Senator Dean Heller, Republican of Nevada. "No, Senator, I don't," Mr. Powell responded. Asked by Democrats whether he accepted the analysis of the Congressional Budget Office, which found that the legislation backed by Republicans would sharply increase the federal debt, Mr. Powell responded that he had not looked at it. Janet L.